We continue now the tab of Daf Zayin Amud Aleph Meseches Eruvin. This is Eruvin Daf 7a. The Gemara here is dealing with a contradiction. In one place, it sounds like we are allowed to follow Beis Shammai so long as we're consistent. In another place, it sounds like we never follow Beis Shammai. So the Gemara now answers Rabbi Yoshuahi, the one that says you're allowed to follow Beis Shammai. The line in the Brisa which indicates that follows Rabbi Yehoshua. The lo mishkich bebaskol. Rabbi Yehoshua does not pay attention to baskols. Rashi says this is from the story. It's a famous story in Bab Metzia Daf Nun Tesam and Beis. And therefore, even though a baskol says the halacha is like Beis Hillel, Rabbi Yehoshua says it doesn't matter. We don't pay attention to baskols. One who wants to follow Beis Shammai can follow Beis Shammai so long as the person is consistent. Or we can give another answer. Hachikama, here's what it means. Kol heichod de meshkachas trei tanayu trei amoroi de pligia hadodi. Anytime you find a machlokas between two Tanoim or two Amoraim who argue with one another, ke'ein machlokas Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, similar to the machlokasin that we find between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, lo li'avid kikule demar v'chikule demar. A person should not do like all the leniencies of one side and all the leniencies of the other. You can't just pick the leniencies. V'lo kechumrei demar. And also you can't just pick the stringencies. Don't say I'm going to follow the stringency of this Amora and be strict with the other Amora. Either go like all the leniencies and stringencies of one particular side of the issue, or go like the other side of the issue, all the leniencies and stringencies. And therefore, the Brisa was not saying in the case of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel that you can choose Beis Shammai. That, of course, Beis Shammai, b'makom Beis Hillel ain't a Mishnah. We always follow Beis Hillel. But if you have other machlokes, and it meant if you have other machlokes similar to the machlokes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, you should apply this rule, and you should not pick and choose. But anyways, the Gemara says, Mikol makom kasha. Still, we do have a question. The issue here is that they went like two chumras when it came to this machlokas by a bent mavui. They chose the chumras of Rav and the chumras of Shmuel. We thought you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to you're not, even chumras, you're not supposed to pick all the chumras. So the Gemara answers, Amar of Nachum bar Yitzchak kule karav avdua. Actually, in that particular case, they were totally following Rav. The Amar Rav Huna Amar Rav, because Rav Huna said in the name of Rav, halacha ve'ein morin kain. While it is true the halacha is like the Tanna Kama in that case, but ein morin kain. We don't teach people that. We follow the strict opinion in practice. We follow the strict opinion of Chananya that in these kind of bent mavuis you require doors, and therefore even Rav really agrees that you should be strict in both regards. The Gemara says, Ula Rav Ada bar Rava amar Rav damar halacha umorin kain. But what about according to the opinion of Rav Ada bar Rava in the name of Rav, who says no, the halacha is to be lenient, and the halacha is that that is the actual practice. It's not only the halacha. We are morin kain. We do teach that publicly. Ma'ikol Meimar. So what are you going to answer again? Well, how are we applying the stringencies of Rav and the stringencies of Shmuel? So the Gemara now gives a different answer altogether. Amar Rav Shizvi says, Kilo avdinon kechumrei de beitrei. When do we say that you can't take the stringencies of both sides of an argument? That's heicha de sasri adadi. That's only if the two sides contradict one another. Kegon shedra v'golgolas. For example, the machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel we find by the spine or the skull. What we're going to see is that when it comes to this machlokas, you can have a situation where you're going to be contradictory. The Tanan, as we learned in the Mishnah, hashedra v'hagolgolas shechasru. Let's say you have either a spine or the skull of a corpse, and they are diminished. They lose some of their bone. What's considered a diminishment when it comes to the spine? Beis Shammai omrim shtei cholias. Beis Shammai say it's two vertebrae. Beis Hillel omrim cholia achas. Beis Hillel say one vertebrae. V'golgolas when it comes to the skull. Beis Shammai omrim kimoli makdech. It's like the amount of a screw that you can screw through the skull. It's enough that if you would take this amount out of the skull and the person were alive, he would die. So they're having a machlokas here, how much is considered that it's no longer considered a shedra or a gilgolas in terms of the halachos of tumah. We'll see Rashi for more details. The Amar Rav Yudah Mar Shmuel, and Rav Yudah said in the name of Shmuel on this machlokas v'chein linyan treifa. The same is true by treifa, but it works in the reverse, where it's a chumrah Beis Shammai by shedra v'gilgolas. It's going to be a leniency by treifa and vice versa. Same thing for Beis Hillel. So it's in that particular case where if you're going to say I'm going to take all the chumras of Beis Shammai in this case and all the chumras of Beis Shammai in the other case, you're going to actually end up, and same thing with Beis Hillel, what's going to end up happening is if you take all the chumras, you're going to contradict yourself. You're going to go in one case by tumah one way, you're going to go another way by a case of treifa, and you're actually, in terms of logic, you're going to be contradicting yourself in terms of what you hold. Rashi here will explain, again, more details. The sasra na'adadi, it means that, again, you're internally contradicting yourself. That's when it's a problem. Cases as follows. Trei tanoi de pligi. Let's say you have two tanoim that argue. Mar machmir or mar mekel. One is strict and one is lenient. But the stringency, the reason behind the stringency in this particular case, creates a leniency in another case. And the same thing the reverse. The leniency in that case creates a stringency in the other case. So if you're going to always go l'chumra, you're always going to be strict. Mikri ksil, you're a fool. Because it's all one reason. It's all one piece of logic that creates a stringency in one scenario and a leniency in the other. If you hold of that logic, you need to be consistent throughout. That's when it's an issue to choose chumras or kulas. And here he explains the case. Let's say you have a mace, there's either the spine or the skull. There's a machlokas. According to Beis Shammai, in order to lose its status, you need to lose two vertebrae. Let's say you only lose one vertebrae, it's still considered a shedra, and it can create tomas oel. And by treifa also, lo have a chisaron. It's not going to be, if you just lose one vertebrae, it's not going to be considered a treifa. It's not going to be considered a mortal wound, which would make the animal not kosher. Ukshera, the animal would be kosher in such a case. That's a leniency. So it comes out according to Beis Shammai, let's say the one vertebrae is missing, it's going to be a stringency as far as mace is concerned, because it's still going to be tamei ba'oel. Ule Beis Hillel, diamri chisaron, and according to Beis Hillel says one vertebrae is a chisaron, have a chumra lagabe treifa. That's going to be a chumra when it comes to a treifa, because that animal is not going to be kosher, because it's going to be considered a mortal wound. Uman David betreifa kebeis Hillel or kebeis Shammai b'meis. Now, if you're going to be strict and say by treifa I'll be strict like Beis Hillel and by meis I'll be strict like Beis Shammai, havik seal, the person's a fool. To asasron uvdi adadi, because that just contradicts yourself. To hach have a chisaron v'hachal have a chisaron. Here you're going to say it's considered a chisaron in the spine. It's considered something crucial is missing, and in the other case it's not considered something crucial is missing. That doesn't make any sense. Hashedra v'agolgolos, again Rashi explains, gabe tumas oel b'meis tanan. This is talking about tumas oel. At what point in time, how much do you have to have missing that it's no longer considered a spine, it's just considered a bone? Once it's considered a bone, so then she'enu matami bo'el. That already is not, if it's an etzem kisaora, if it's just a status of a bone, it's not matami bo'el. Okay, and then they give you the various measurements. But if it's not internally contradictory, here it's just machlokas, two different issues, not related. The Italian betray time, two separate reasons behind them. In such a situation, as long as they don't contradict, you can say, I'm going to take the chumras of this in this particular issue, and I'll take the chumras of that one in that particular issue, and therefore that's why in some cases you are actually, in this case in particular, you're allowed to say, I'm going to take the chumras of Rav and Shmuel, because the reasons behind those chumras do not contradict one another. So the Gemara now continues and asks, but is it really true that if you have a contradiction, you're not allowed to be strict for all directions? Is that really the case? Mesav Rav Mesharshi asks on this. Ma'asav Rabbi Akiva, there was once a story with Rabbi Akiva, Shaliket Esrog be'echad b'Shvat. He collected an Esrog, or he harvested an esrog on the 1st of Shvat, v'noag bo beis isurin, and he did on that esrog, he did both meiser sheni and meiser ani. The halach is that in the second year of the Shemitah cycle, if you're in the second year, so then you do meiser sheni. If you're in the third year of the Shemitah cycle, then already do meiser ani. Now what he did was, he collected this after the 1st of Shvat, and we know there's a machlokas Beis Shammai Beis Hillel. What is the Rosh Hashanah li'ilanos? When does the year switch over? Is it on the 1st of Shvat or the 15th of Shvat? So he collected it between the 1st and the 15th, and now he's not sure. Is it the third year? Is it the second year? What do we do? So he was strict. He said, I'm going to take off Meiser Sheni and Meiser Ani. Echad kedivrei Beis Shammai, v'echad kedivrei Beis Hillel. He took off one Meiser, like according to Beis Shammai, and one according to Beis Hillel. Now this is a contradiction, because it's either one or the other. Either you hold it's Rosh Hashanah on Echad b'Shvat, or you hold it's Rosh Hashanah on Tu b'Shvat for Ilanos. You can't hold it's both. So how could he take the stringencies of both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel? This shows that you're allowed to be strict, even if you're internally contradicting. So the Gemara says, no, Rabbi Akiva gamrei istapikle v'lo yada I Beis Hillel b'chad b'Shvat Omer I b'chameser b'Shvat Omer. Rabbi Akiva was not being strict for Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Rabbi Akiva was not sure what Beis Hillel said. Rabbi Akiva understood that the halacha was like Beis Hillel, but he wasn't sure. Do Beis Hillel say that Rosh Hashanah li'ilanos is on the 1st of Shvat, and therefore it would already be the third year? Or do they say it's the 15th of Shvat? It's not yet the third year, it's only the second year. So he did this way l'chumra, he did that way l'chumra. He wanted to do both stringencies because he didn't know. He was mesupik, he was in doubt as to what Beis Hillel actually holds. The Gemara now continues at the two dots. Yosef, Rav Yosef, Kamei de Rav Huna. Rav Yosef sat in front of Rav Huna. The Yosef v'kamer, and Rav Yosef made the following statement. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav, he said that Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav, Machlokas, the Machlokas about these open Mevoos. We're talking about alleyways that are opening to Rosh Hashanah on both sides. That Machlokas between the Tanakama and Chananya, whether you need doors in that case, it's only Bisratya Mikan, Usratya Mikan, Uplatya Mikan, Uplatya Mikan. It's only when you have a Rosh Hashanah on both sides. A Sratya, Rashi says, is a Rosh Hashanah where people walk through. A Platya is a kind of a street for a marketplace, but real bona fide Rosh Hashanah, that's where there's a Machlokas, whether you need doors on this Mavoi that opens both sides to Rosh Hashanah. Aval Sratya Mikan Ubika Mikan. But let's say there's a Sratya, a public area, a Rosh Hashanah on one side and a valley on the other side. It's a Carmelis. It's not a Rosh Hashanah on a Doraisa level, it's on a Dorabonon level. Ubika Mikan. Or even more lenient, let's say you have no Rosh Hashanah, it's opening up to a Bika on one side and a Bika on the other. Osa Tzuras HaPesach Mikan Velechi V'Kor Mikan. Then for sure you can make it just a Tzuras HaPesach, the frame of a doorway on one side, and put a Lechi and a Kor on the other side, and that will be sufficient. So the Gemara now asks on the statement that he's making. Hashta Sratya Mikan Ubika Mikan. 1 second. If in a case where you have a Rosh Hashanah on one side and a Carmelis on the other, Osa Lo Tzuras HaPesach Mikan V'Lechi V'Kor Mikan, it's sufficient if you put a Tzuras HaPesach on one side and a Lechi and a Kor on the other side. So Bika Mikan Ubika Mikan Miboy. So in a situation where you have a Bika on both sides, of course you're going to be lenient in that case. You're already lenient when you have a Rosh Hashanah on one side and a Bika on the other side. If you have a Bika on two sides, what does he even need to say that for? So the Gemara says, no, here's what he meant. Here's what he meant to say. Sratya Mikan Ubika Mikan. If you have a public Rosh Hashanah on one side and you have a Bika on the other side, Nasa Kebika Mikan Ubika Mikan. It's as though you have a Bika on each side, and then you could be lenient in such a case. Now Umisayim Bo Mishmei Rav Yehuda. Now Rav Yosef, he's the one making the statement in the name of Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, and he finished in the name of Rav Yehuda without quoting who Rav Yehuda quoted. He finished with the following statement from Rav Yehuda: Imhaya Mavoi Koli L'Rechava. If the Mavoi opens up into a Rechava, which we're going to see in a moment, Ein Sarich Klum, then you don't need anything. Rashi over here says, Rav Yosef Rav Yosef This concluding statement, Rav Yehuda did not find out from Rav Yehuda who he got it from. Let's say it opens up into what basically is a backyard. And the Rechava opens up into Rosh Hashanah. Rechava hekef chotzer shachori batim. It's basically a courtyard behind houses, a backyard. Kari rachva mukefes arba mechitzas. It has 4 mechitzas, 4 walls. Ein tzarich klum. You don't need anything. L'sakin osa psicha shel tzad rechava. Meaning that opening that goes into the Rechava, you don't need anything. Elarosh hamafulish l'Rosh Hashanah tzarich lechi or kora. Just the part of the mavoi which opens directly into Rosh Hashanah needs a lechi or kora. Ketoras mavoi sasam. It's basically like a mavoi sasam. It's like a regular, normal, closed mavoi which opens up into Rosh Hashanah on one side and is surrounded on 3 sides. Here's the case right here. You have this mavoi. Right over here, the Mavoi opens into Rosh Hashanah over here. This is the Rosh Hashanah, but this side is the Rechava. This is the backyard, and you go through. The Rechava does open into Rosh Hashanah, but it's still considered closed off. Rashi here gives a little more important details. Rashi says, he says it has to be that this Rechava is opening up into Rosh Hashanah. It's going on the case of Mefulish before. If this would be totally closed, if this would not even be open over here, Pshita, then it's obvious that it's a regular Mavoi. It's totally closed, it's a normal Mavoi. You can't possibly say that, it's because there are people who share that space in the Rechava, maybe it's sort of like Rosh Hashanah, so maybe that's a problem, because they didn't make an Eruv. No, that's also obvious the Rechava is not going to be a problem. The Rechava lo boile ruve. A Rechava does not need an Eruv. The Stam Rechava ain't but the urine lotzeis velavo, because Rechava is not a place where people go, the people don't go back and forth, they don't use it. Vein tashmisha tadir, it's not commonly used, kedamina perak sheni, like we say in perak sheni. So therefore, Rashi goes on to say here, Rechava certainly is not going to create any Isser. It's not an area that's used. It doesn't even need an Eruv. And Rashi says, Rechava lav dafka nakat. Rashi says, it doesn't even need to be a Rechava in this case. This could have been just a regular Chatzir where people live, and they make an Eruv. It could be a Rechava without an Eruv, or a regular Chatzir with an Eruv. Ela uvda b'Rechava haisa happens to be the story was with a Rechava. Kedamrin l'kamon uvda have b'dur rasa. We're going to say that later. Kol knisa v'yatzia debatim shebehashas derech hachatzir hu. Rashi just points out, anytime houses enter and exit, that's always through a chatzir. The chatzir lifnei habatim. And a chatzir is really in the front of the house. The rechava is in the back of the house. So that's why I said like a backyard. So that's a rechava. That's why it's not called a chatzir. Chatzir would be like the front where the house opens. That's called a chatzir. The Rechav is an area that's not really used, and so that's why it doesn't even require an Erev. So in any case, the point is he made this statement. He said, Ein tzarich klum. You don't need anything in such a case. It's considered a mavoi sasim. So Amar le Abai le Rav Yosef. Abai said to Rav Yosef, Had Rav Yehuda de Shmueli. You should know that statement that you're quoting from Rav Yehuda. You didn't know who Rav Yehuda got it from. He got it from Shmuel, and the Gemara will continue this discussion on Daf Zayin Amud Beis. We'll see that in the next video.